Happy Monday, Lifepro consumers. I just wanted to call out and say hi to everybody in the Lifepro family. I have been missing in action for like 2 weeks, and I have missed visiting with all of you. Some of you have reached out, and I'm so thankful and grateful that some of you have checked in to see what's been going on. So just to bring you up to speed, I suffered a nasty foot injury about 2 weeks ago. I was stepping into my garage at like 1 o'clock in the morning, totally sober, and my daughter had left her rubber boots on a step, and I was tossing the garbage into the trash can, which was easily visible, and I knew exactly where the footing was, but didn't expect my daughter to have her boots there and didn't expect another pair of shoes to be on the next step below that. So when I stepped down, my foot, the step was right here on the edge of my foot, and my foot basically bended over the step. So I immediately thought I had fractured the middle of my foot in the Liz Franck joint. And usually with that kind of a fracture requires some surgery for realignment and for stability of that joint. So naturally on that Monday, I ended up having to take a lot of time off. And then on top of all of it, my poor grandpa passed away about the exact same time, like totally a God moment, which is a blessing. So we're not sad about that. We're happy about that. But anyhow, Monday, thought I broke the foot. Tuesday, x-ray. Wednesday, had to go have an MRI because they couldn't tell if it was a fracture or not from the clouding image on the x-ray. And I went to a sports medicine specialist in podiatry, so sees feet all the time, and for whatever reason I have that odd injury that they couldn't define. So MRI on Wednesday, funeral Thursday. Friday, I ended up working all day just to get caught up. Saturday was reading of the will, and Sunday I was in preparation for Joel and Lifepro to come to my home to do some video footage for the newest platforms and devices coming out. So that was last Monday, so here we are. So the good news is I'm completely pain-free, and the good news is my foot is not broken. But the reason why I'm sharing my story with you all is because so many of you have reached out and said different comments on different posts. What if? If you're injured, if you truly have a fracture in your lower extremity, vibration will actually create more pain. It's not, so one of the ways that we test in sports medicine, one of the ways that we test for fracture is through what's called a tuning fork. And a tuning fork creates vibration. And a fracture will elicit pain if you put vibration with it. So that would be a contraindication for using the platform in the first few days following injury until you have a confirmation that that joint is stable. And if the joint is stable, then you can do on a very low level setting, whatever platform you might have, whether it's the Turbo, the Hovert, the Waver Mini, the Rumblex, and all the other platforms that are coming out very soon. You can do something on a very low level, because low level vibration will actually cause the body to heal itself. It helps with inflammation, it helps with detox, it helps mobilize fluid. And so wanted to clarify, there was a post a couple of days ago, I think, on a certain injury. I want to say it was maybe a hamstring, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Rice is no longer a thing. So rest, ice, compression, elevation actually slows healing, and the ice can actually damage more cells. So don't use the rice method when you are recovering from an injury. We use the MEAT. It's called MEAT is the acronym. And it's mobilize, exercise, analgesic, and treatment. And so exercise meaning a rehabilitation program, not so much of go out and just run on it. It is just doing specific exercises to strengthen the joint, get proprioception back. So what is proprioception? Proprioception is your body's awareness of space. So where is your body in the room? Where's your center of gravity located, and how do we adjust to different things? That is called proprioception. And proprioception is a combination of agility, balance, and coordination. Agility meaning how well you can stabilize on one leg in a direction, slow yourself down, change directions, and then speed yourself back up, whether it is walking, whether it's standing in place, whether it's running, whether it's skipping. There's all different kinds of ways that you can train agility. It is not always athletic specific. We as adults, well, we as humans, we have to be agile in order to survive. It is survival of the fittest, is the old saying. So, but meat, you can use ice in the first 48, 72 hours, and then we want to get stuff flowing. And you use ice because it's an analgesic, not because it's going to slow things down as far as swelling goes. It actually slows the healing process. So, that being said, I wanted to share with you all what I've been doing to recover this foot injury, because my doctor said, hey, you probably need to be in a walking boot for 4 to 6 weeks. And you probably, if you want to get a carbon fiber insole to put into your tennis shoe so that you can wear the tennis shoe around, as long as it's a stiff sole shoe, then we'll see where you're at in about, 4 to 6 weeks. And I'm like, okay, cool. So getting ready for Joel and Lifepro to be here last Monday. My foot's still bruised. Had somebody here to help cover up the bruising. So I got on the platforms for the first time last Monday, and we did 10 hours of recording, 10 hours of video footage. And I did great. And the platforms actually helped me feel better. So hip replacements, you should be good to go. As long as you are not within the first couple weeks of post-op, you should be okay. If you are wanting to start from a seated position on hip replacements, start from a seated position and see how your body handles it. But the vibration is not going to jar your joints around so much that you're going to displace anything. It takes a tremendous amount of force. I've actually been in and observed a surgery and several different hip replacement procedures. It takes a tremendous amount of force to dislocate that hip. So you should be okay to go if you want to go from a seated position, and then once you feel how your body handles it, then you can go to more of a standing position. And we can talk about that. I will definitely cover hip replacements in a future episode, because there are a lot of you out there who have had one. But what I want to share with you today is how I'm going to use the Rumblex and what the different foot exercises that I've been doing in order to get healthy. So I just taught a 40-minute cardiovascular toning workout with lots of energy, lots of bouncing, lots of jumping, completely pain-free, and I was barefoot on my carpet. So I had on these barefoot shoes. They're called the Vibram 5 Fingers. Awesome, awesome shoe. Anyhow, so I'm going to show you how to get started with some just gentle vibration type exercises, how to work your feet. And the whole idea, after you suffer an injury, your body loses its awareness in space and it loses balance. So balance and reorientation of where you're at in space are absolute priority. What most don't understand is your awareness of space comes from neuroreceptors that give your brain feedback of what it feels in contact with the ground. So when you're working on balance for the first time in a while, or if you have sustained an injury and you're trying to just get things back to right, go barefoot in a controlled setting. So I'm not telling you to go outside and jump barefoot, run barefoot, walk barefoot outside. Just making contact with the skin on the bottom of your feet. We have so many, we've got millions and millions and millions. I don't even know the number, because that number is like an infinite number of how many neuroreceptors that are in contact with the floor. And because the ground vibrates, just natural physics, because the ground vibrates, those neuroreceptors are super excited and feel that energy and then communicate that with the brain, and then your body can learn how to move around in space again. But when we, try and do balance exercises in shoes or with socks on, it is really hard for our body to make sense through sensory of what's going on. And there is a part of the brain called the homunculus that kind of adjusts in the way that our body responds to an injury. So after you sustain an injury, your body goes through what's called body mapping. And body mapping, or remapping your body will start to feel pain, or will start to restrict certain things in order to protect yourself. But if you provide a stimulus to your brain that it likes more, then it'll kind of shift directions away from that pain stimulus and away from that restriction, because it's excited about this new stimulus. And so in my scenario, and in all of your scenarios, the platform is our stimulus. And because our body loves vibration and our connective tissue loves vibration, and that connective tissue is our sensory system, and it senses pain 10 times greater than a regular nerve fiber, the vibration is incredibly powerful for healing. So that being said, I'm going to get you guys started on just the basics of what you can do in order to recover from injury, whether it's a knee injury, a hip injury, whether it's foot, ankle, plantar fasciitis is a big one, neuropathy. All of it is responsive to the vibration. It doesn't matter which platform you have. I now have the Waver Mini, and I'm gonna work on getting, I don't have the Waver, but Joel's getting ready to send it. So I will be comparing the Waver to the Waver Mini, and there's not a whole lot of differences. Mainly the size is the biggest difference. But if you are wanting to know how to apply this to all the other platforms that are out there, it's all the same. Some of you might have, as you can see, the Rumblex behind me, it has a curved platform on the edges. Joel has got 2 more Rumblex coming out, have the same features as far as the program setup, has several different speeds and levels. But what makes those new platforms really cool, the Rumblex Plus has a flat platform. So it's completely flat. It looks exactly like the one behind me, but it's not curved, it's completely flat. And then the Rumblex Pro, wow. You guys have no idea what's coming with that one, but I got to play with that for the first time last Monday, and it is off the chain awesome. And by the way, it is okay if you have more than one platform. I mean, I think I have like 8 or 9. Now, not everybody can afford, one or, the 2 or 3, but if you can just get yourself started on something, the platforms are amazing. And if you want to use, we have some specialty platforms coming out very soon that are much different than any of the other platforms that Lifepro has put out. And I will talk about those soon when they come out. But they are game changer, especially for plantar fasciitis and for circulation and neuropathy, for athletic enhancement. So if you've got kiddos at home or athletes, you're an athlete yourself and you're wanting to improve in your athleticism, it is what's coming is incredibly powerful. I'm really, really excited that I got to hang out with Joel and his devices last week, because this whole next year I'm gonna have a blast sharing with all of you the great things that we can do with the Lifepro platforms. So without further ado, I'm gonna get started because I have a day ahead of me that I gotta get to, but I wanna get started on this platform. So Rumblex, or Waver, or Hovert, or whatever it is that you have at home. You just use whatever you got, and we're gonna work with whatever we can. Now, on the Rumblex, I'm gonna turn it on, and for me, I'm going to choose the manual mode program because I just want to make sure you all understand, depending on what platform you have. If you have the Hovert, you only have a P through a P9, if I remember right. But when you see HA on the screen, that is your manual mode. Manual mode, you can change time, dropping it down from 10 minutes or less, and you can change intensity or the strength of the vibration. We are gonna start with a very low level of vibration, okay? If you have the Rumblex, you are going to choose the setting that looks like a square, or it's gonna look like, I'll take you over here so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so forgive me on, okay, so this one right here, it looks like a square, okay? The one that looks like the dog ate a corner of the paper is your pre-program setting, okay? So we wanna go with the square, because the square, you can choose whatever setting that you want. And so what I want to have you starting with is just vibration. I don't want you to move the platform, just vibration for starters. If you have no pain and you have really good balance with starting with just vibration, then we're gonna go with the tilting mode. So it's gonna tilt or oscillate up and down. But for foot healing and for balance, do not choose the lateral, because you have to go through the other steps first in order to allow your body to re-educate itself as to where it's at in space so that you don't fall. So real quick, I want to read this. Okay, is it Lee or Leah, Miss Nickerson, however you pronounce your name, I'm so sorry I butchered that. if I did. Reach out to me in a private message and I will talk you through the process on that, because I don't want to get directly involved into that. I want to keep this very general. But if you all need help individually with your rehabilitation routines at home and using your device at home, reach out to me, because I do FaceTime and Zoom one-on-one sessions for a fee, so that you can you know how to use your devices at home for the purpose of rehabilitation. I am a rehabilitation specialist. I am licensed and certified in sports medicine and exercise science. So I've been doing this for almost 20 years. Awesome. Thank you so much, Lee, for clarification. So real quick, we're going to start with just vibration. So make sure whatever device you have, that you just are using the vibration. If you have the Waver or the Hovert or the Turbo, it does not matter which program you choose, because you're going to get vibration either way. But with the Rumblex, it is a 4D type device. So just make sure that you're not doing the lateral shift and you're doing more of the tilt, or you're doing just vibration. So I am going to use my selector mode for just vibration, and I'm going to go ahead and start, and you can hear the unit is working, but you can't see it moving. And I'm turning my device up into the orange zone because my body feels good. I feel good. If you are suffering from a fracture or you are post-op, start in the green zone, because the green is a very low intensity level and it's a safe level for you. There's not enough vibration here that's going to cause you any problems unless you have a fresh fracture within 48, 72 hours. So if you have a fresh fracture, you don't want to stand on the platform until you've had your x-ray and you make sure that everything is in alignment and you don't have anything displaced. So the platform is not going to move. I don't have to worry about moving. I am just absorbing this energy and it feels fantastic. What I want you to think about doing is just lifting your toes off the platform. So your feet are flat, just lift your toes. I want you to spread your toes. And then I want you to push your toes down to the platform. I want you to lift your toes from the platform. Press and lift. Press and lift. Now, as you can see around me, I don't have anything to hold on to. So if you are struggling with balance at home, and you're not sure if you can do this, make sure and have something to hold on to, a chair or something, standing behind a countertop in the kitchen or in your bedroom, maybe in front of your bed, but just make sure that you have something around you for balance reasons, because again, we're trying to re-educate the body how to move. So lift those toes, press those toes, lift and press, okay? That's all we're doing, is lifting, pressing, getting those little piggies happy and moving. Because when we wear shoes a certain way, it keeps them from moving. And your toes are your balance guides. So if you think about a bird sitting on a perch, or birds use their toes, especially like an eagle or a vulture, uses their talons in order to grip objects. I want you to think of your toes as grippers, okay? So we are gripping, all right? And what I want you to do is watch my hands and simulate with my feet. Grip those toes, grip and lift, okay? And as you're gripping and lifting, guess what you're doing? You're turning on all the little bitty muscles in your feet that only exist in your feet. What does that mean? Well, we have a lot of muscles down here in our lower legs, and those lower leg muscles, they all attach in the feet. But we have a lot of muscles in the feet that stay in the feet. They don't come up into the lower leg. Those are the muscles that give your body the ability to move and balance and sense and feel. There's a direct correlation, there's a direct communication pathway between our brain and the bottom of our feet. And you can control the entire human body just through the bottom of the feet. It is awesome. It's a really, really cool thing. So if your feet aren't working, you're kind of screwing the rest of your body's stimulus. So we have to turn that back on. So those of you who have had foot ankle injuries and have not been to physical therapy with barefoot training, we need to get you off in the right direction. And I'm going to share this because I see a lot of people who have been to physical therapy, they've been to the chiropractor, they've been to the podiatrist, and they haven't gotten any better because nobody is dealing with the bottom of their feet. They're only having them do rubber band exercises. They're only having them do standing balance exercises. They're having them curl a towel with their toes, which is not the best exercise for you. So we have to get our sensory working first. And then once that happens, it travels all the way up the chain to our brain, all the way up to our head. All right? So we're just working vibration. Now, those of you that are doing okay with vibration, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna increase your stimulus to vibration and the oscillation mode. So that is gonna look like, 1 second, make sure that you can see this. You are gonna, I don't know if I can do this. Oh, we were able to pull it off. Okay, so you're gonna have up and down and vibration. And so the way that this works is you're gonna use the square option and it will select whatever you want it to do, okay? So, and let me turn this off and turn it back on so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So this is standby mode, sleeper mode. It'll stay in this mode for 3 minutes, okay? All right, so this means it's gonna tilt up and down. Tap the button. This is vibration only. Tap the button. This means the unit is gonna move side to side, which we do not want when we're doing rehab or foot type strengthening. This is tilting up and down and vibration. This is the one I want you to select. And then if you tap it again, you're gonna get what's called 3D, which is up and down and side to side. We do not want the side by side. Too much interaction. Vibration and side by side, and then all three, which we definitely don't want. Not when we're getting started. So I'm gonna go through, there you go. And as you noticed, you can't go backwards. You have to continue to tap that button until you get all the way through, okay? All right, so hopefully that helps you. All right. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and push start. And you have the ability, because you're in manual mode, to increase your speed. Start in the green zone if you're just getting started, and I'm going to a speed of 28. Just me personally, okay? Now, things are really rumbling. Things are moving, okay? This feels really, really good, all right? So what I want you to think about doing, I know some of you are super sensitive with your feet to the platform with the rubber. So if your feet are oversensitive, don't put on socks, just grab a towel and lay it across. The other thing that you can do is you can grab your exercise mat that came with your device and you can put it on top of your device, although I think I like the idea of just using a towel because it grips better. And not knowing how many of you that are out there that have balance challenges, even though the exercise mat can be used with the Rumblex, I would be more comfortable if you just use a towel because it's not as heavy. You could even use an exercise mat that has grippers on it, like a yoga mat. You can just lay it across there. But if your feet are super sensitive and you don't like how the rubber feels on your feet, just place a hand towel on top of your device and stand on top of it so that you can still see your screen, okay? Now, super important, make sure that your knees are bent. So we're not locking our knees because when we lock our knees, we jam our joints. So those of you that have total knee replacements or total hip replacements, make sure your knees are unlocked so that you're getting a lot of flubber floating and bouncing all over the thighs. Because guess what? The more stuff that we're moving around, the better the outcome on the body. So we want all of this stuff moving around, okay? And it doesn't matter how thin or lean you are or how fluffy. I don't like to use the word fat. I like fluffy in my house. So if you are a little more on the fluffy side, it is okay. But make sure that you're mobilizing that stuff because that is what's holding all the toxicity in your body and that's what makes us feel like crap. So relax those knees. Enjoy the flubber and the fluff floating around and work on lifting your toes and pressing your toes. Lifting your toes and pressing your toes. And I'm just staying in this zone right here. So I'm in the orange zone. I'm on a speed of 28. I don't have my remote handy because I wasn't planning on doing anything elaborate. I just wanted to share with you a couple of foot strengthening exercises. Okay, now, if you don't have any trouble when doing this, what I want you to do is rock back and forth from your heels to your toes. Now, this is a little bit more sensitive on my feet, on my heels. So again, grab yourself a hand towel. Ah, I got one right here. So let me show you this. So we grab a hand towel, just a basic bathroom hand towel, okay? And you're gonna stand on your hand towel, okay? And I can still see my settings, although it doesn't matter. It just matters that I can stand and have a little bit of cush underneath my feet. So again, just rolling back and forth, staying balanced, keeping those knees relaxed, okay? Those of you that have a flat device, this is gonna be a lot easier than for those of you with Rumblex with the curved edges. It just feels different if you're not used to it. Not a big deal. You can still do it. And here's the thing. If you just wanna stand on the platform and get the energy from the vibration and the tilting oscillation, you can do that, and then you can do the actual strengthening exercises on the floor. So that's just working your toes. Just pick up the toes, curl the toes. Here's a challenge for you, an impossible challenge, truly impossible. If somebody can do this, post it, because I'd be excited to see how many of you can do something like that's not humanly ordinary, okay? So your big toe has a group of muscles that activate it solely, separately from the other little four toes. So that means when you go to lift your four other toes, they lift together as a unit. In other words, you cannot manipulate your second toe from your pinky toe or your third toe from your fourth toe without operating the other as a unit. The big toe, you can separate it because it has a different set of nerves and muscles that work with that. But with the other four, they all work together. So if anybody can do something crazy with their toes, I would be interested in seeing that sometime, because it's not an easy task, if at all possible, to move your second, third, fourth, fifth toe independently of each other. They all have to work together. So think about just moving those toes around. Doesn't matter any rhyme or rhythm or pattern, but just moving the toes while you're standing here and absorbing this energy, okay? So that's one thing that you can do to get started. I will continue to add more ideas to that, because I have an entire barefoot training program. But on the floor, if you just lift your toes, press your toes, lift your toes, press your toes. If you have marbles or the decorative pebbles that you put in like a vase, if you have those at home, lay them out on your carpet or on your floor and pick them up with your toes. Super powerful exercise. And if you have trouble doing that, keep working it, because it makes a huge difference as to how your body moves as a unit by stimulating those muscles, and that's a strengthening exercise. So marbles or the decorative glass pebbles. Yeah, and if you don't have any of those, and if you've got cotton balls at home, you can grab and pinch cotton balls too. So you can do it from a seated position, but that's just an easy way to get started with how I recovered from a potential, what we thought was a fractured foot, in less than 2 weeks, because it happened 2 weeks to today. And I'm walking around pain-free, and life is honky-dory grand. So if you don't already have a platform and you need a platform, I will attach the link to Lifepro below. And if you use the code AMBER10, AMBER 10, it'll give you an extra little bonus discount for watching the video. If you have friends that want a platform, they love yours, they think they need one, share the code with your friends. Want to make sure that we can get to you what you need so that you can work on being the best version of yourself at home. So that being said, I got to get on out of here so I can start working with my clients today. But thank you all so much for tuning in on how to fix the foot, or at least get it started, how to work on balance, coordination, proprioception, and just being happy. You know that there's an emotional release that happens on that platform if you just stand on it. So if you're having a depressed day, or if you need more energy, just get on the platform for like 10 minutes. And it will change your whole personality, your whole attitude in a positive way, because when you're on that platform, It is reducing stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline. It is juicing up the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and those endorphins that make us so happy. So make sure if you don't have one, get yourself one, because it's one of the best things you can have at home for your longevity of health. So shoot me a message if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.